Today we're going to be ranking every 2D Mario. Before we get into this, I just kind of wanted to explain what each of the tiers means. So S means like best of the best, like it doesn't get any better than this, or at least not yet. We'll see what happens when Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out. A means that it's a great game, but it's not quite best of the best, but that being said, it's still like, top tier, it's an excellent game. B means that it's a good game, nothing too special, but it's not bad either. It's a good game. C just means that it's kind of meh, it's an alright game, I could take it or leave it, and then F just means that it's trash. Starting off on a couple of high notes I can see here, Super Mario Bros. 3, this is going to go straight into the S tier. What can be said about Super Mario Bros. 3 that hasn't already been said before? Like, it is an absolutely excellent game. Between the gameplay, the level designs, oh my gosh, and don't even get me started on the graphics. I mean, you guys are seeing it on your screen right now. I know this is an NES game, but I mean, still, just look at the graphics. Compare this to Mario Bros. 1, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the tier list. The sheer leap in art direction and graphics and design from Mario Bros. Up until Super Mario Bros. 3 is it's incredible. This game deserves all the praise that it gets. In fact, I would say that it deserves even more praise than it gets. It is an absolutely excellent game, and if you haven't played it before, please stop this video and go play it. Next up, we got Super Mario Advance 4, aka Super Mario Bros. 3. Again, this is going to go straight into the S tier. I mean, it's literally Super Mario Bros. 3, but with better graphics and more content. It's the same graphics that the original Super Mario All-Stars game had. If you're going to play Super Mario Bros. 3, believe it or not, Super Mario Advance 4 is actually the definitive version of the game. So if you haven't been sure which version to play, but you want like the definitive experience, that would be the one. But if you want like the vanilla OG experience, I would say still go with Super Mario Bros. 3, because that's the one that I still return to the most, just because I have the most nostalgia for that like vanilla version of the game. But that being said, yeah, Super Mario Advance 4, definitely the definitive version of the game. Next up, we got Super Mario Bros. 2. This one's a little interesting, it's kind of like the black sheep of the family. We're gonna go ahead and slap that in a B. It's a good game. I am one of the few people that actually really like Super Mario Bros. 2. I think it's an excellent game. It's a lot of fun, but compared to some of the other ones that I already know are going to be going into the A or the S, I can't say wholeheartedly that it captures that magic and that spirit of Mario in the same way that the other ones do. Granted, when we're just talking about this like as a video game on its own, it's an absolutely amazing video game. It's excellent. It doesn't get enough love or recognition, but that being said, it's just good. Compared to the other Mario games, it's just good. It's not meh tier, but I think it's fine in B. Next up, we got Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Wow. See, when you first start this game, you would think that it deserves at least maybe even like an A. It starts out really strong until it all falls apart towards the end. So I'm sorry, but I gotta slap that one into F. It's just, like, what were they thinking when they were making this game? Like, I'm sorry, I've tried defending this game. I've played this game time and time and time again. I've played the vanilla version, I played the All-Stars remake, and it's just, no matter how many times I play it, this game doesn't click for me. It feels so not Mario. It feels like an indie game. Or not even an indie game, but rather like a fan project. It feels like a fan project that was made by a fan that didn't understand what made Mario Mario. Like, this isn't difficult for the sake of challenging the player and, testing what they learned from the first game. This is just difficult for the sake of it and nonsensical for the sake of it. Like, you remember that one level? I can't even remember which level it was, but there was that time where you couldn't even advance unless you jumped up and hit this invisible block and then jumped up again to hit another invisible block, which then led to a vine, which then let you advance. Like, who thought of that? Next up, we got Super Mario Land. I think it's Super Mario Land. The logo's kind of cut off there, but if this is Super Mario Land, I'm going to go ahead and put this one also in a B. It's definitely not like best of the best. I mean, in my opinion, it's a great game, but I don't know if it's necessarily deserving of the great tier, just because of the other things that we're going to be putting in there. I'll go ahead and put it at a B. It's definitely not meh. It's not a meh game. It's actually a lot of fun. That being said, this game is quite interesting because for those of you that don't know, Super Mario Land is actually, I believe, the first portable Mario. It was kind of like a spin-off game. It's a completely original game. It's pretty short, so you can beat it in like less than an hour. It's very derivative of original Mario, but there's a lot of differences with this one. This is one of those things where it's kind of hard to explain the differences. It's one of those things where once you play it, though, you'll feel the differences. You'll see the differences between his movement, the way the different sprites look. It's definitely a different experience overall, but that being said, it is not a bad experience. It is still a great Mario game, and if you haven't played it, please, you can beat it in less than an hour. Just go play it. Next up, we got Super Mario Run, and once again, we got another one going into B. It's not a bad game. It's not best of the best either, and it's definitely not meh. It's a lot of fun. The only thing with this game is, there's not even anything wrong with it being an auto runner or with it being on mobile or anything like that. It's just that I don't really feel the need to return to this one. I beat this game back at launch. I downloaded it for free, and then I paid the $10 to get the rest of the levels. I went through, I beat all the levels, did all that. And ever since I beat it all those years ago after launch, I never really felt the need to return to it. Granted, I did re-download it, and I played like a couple of levels of it a couple years ago, just to, because at that point I had just gotten a new phone, so I just wanted to play around with the new phone. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. But otherwise, I haven't really felt the need to return to the game itself or play through it again. It's just one of those games where I played it, it was fun, but that's kind of that. That being said, though, I would like to see them take another stab at the whole mobile Mario thing and maybe see a Super Mario Run 2 one day, because there was a lot of great stuff here, and, it was a great foundation. It's just, I don't really feel the need to return to that. And if you guys know me, I don't, replayability isn't important to me when it comes to video games. Usually, I just play a video game once, and then that's usually probably going to be it. Like God of War, I've only played that once. God of War 2018, Horizon Zero Dawn, like games like that, I play it once, and that's that. And for me, that's how Super Mario Run has been up to this point. I just wanted to clarify that because replayability isn't a factor in these rankings. That being said, if it has enough replayability to the point of where I just want to keep playing it and playing and playing it, yeah, sure, that's going to give it some bonus points. I'm a little confused here because we just ranked Super Mario Bros. 3 up here, yet Super Mario Bros. 3 is again down here. Maybe something got messed up there. I don't know. We'll see as we go along. But anyway, Super Mario Bros. 1. As much as I want to slap this as an S just because, the nostalgia, I can't say wholeheartedly, I don't know. But then again, it's the one that started it all. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it at an S. Some people may disagree. I could see a lot of people maybe putting this at an A just because it's the one that started it all. But in some people's opinions, it may not hold up as well, or some of the level designs, whatever. But for me personally, Super Mario Bros. Is a masterclass in game design, and it still holds up exceptionally well, phenomenally well. It holds up as well as it did on the day that it released. It is such a fantastic game, whether you're playing the original or you're playing like the All-Stars remake. It is a great game. For me, it's really hard to say whether a game does or does not hold up, because for me, I don't really care if a game holds up or not. I just play the game and see if it's fun, really. I don't know. I don't really see why people always say, oh, this game is dated or it doesn't hold up. What are you even talking about? When people say that things are dated, they usually say it in a way that implies that it's bad or whatever. No, it's just when you play a game, just look at it through the lens of the time that it came out. At least that's usually how I do it, and I can't help it. That's just, I can't do it any other way. When I play a game, I take it for what it is. I remember the era that it came out, and I play it and enjoy it for what it is. I don't compare it to modern standards, and that's probably why I'm ranking Super Mario Bros. So high, because every time I play it, I can't help myself. It's so good. Next up, we got Super Mario Advance. I believe this is Super Mario Advance 1. I can't see any other, because again, like a bunch of the logos are cut off. I believe that this is Super Mario Advance 1, which would be a remake of Super Mario Bros. 2, in which case, it's going to go into the B for the same reason as I said for Super Mario Bros. 2. It's a good game, but not best of the best material by any means. Next up, we got Super Mario All-Stars, which that's going to go straight into the S tier. It would go like double S tier if this was the one that had Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, because that's like a whole other level, but still, just Super Mario All-Stars, it still deserves the S tier. It's a remake of Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, and those in themselves are all already S-tier games aside from Super Mario Bros. 2, which in my opinion, if I was ranking Super Mario Bros. 2 on its own as a video game, I would definitely put that in the S-tier anyway. That being said, Super Mario All-Stars, I just got around to playing these versions of the game only within the last couple of months, because up to this year, I have only ever played the original vanilla versions of the game, and when I played it for the first time, I know this is probably crazy to hear me say because it's a SNES game, but I was blown away by the graphics. The graphics in this version of the game just still look good, they still look great to this day, and it's honestly a beautiful game. That's the thing. Super Mario All-Stars, these remakes, they're all absolutely beautiful. If you haven't experienced the All-Star remakes before and you're like me and up to this year you've only experienced the original vanilla versions of the game, give it a shot. It is mind-blowing how good the game looks. Definitely deserves the S tier. It's a timeless classic. If you get a SNES, you need to get All-Star. Next up, we got New Super Mario Bros. 2. Ooh, yeah, this is definitely going to be a hot take, but I'm putting this one straight into the S tier. Now, I know by the time that New Super Mario Bros. 2 came out, there were some people that were a little burnt out on the whole New Super Mario Bros. Thing, but for me personally, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of the most distinct out of the New Super Mario Bros. Lineup. It took everything from the previous New Super Mario Bros. Games, put it into this game, and it kind of flipped it on its head. It ever so slightly tweaked everything from the previous games enough to make everything feel fresh and new here, between the level designs, the art direction, the fact that there's a coin counter on the main menu. I know for some people it's a little disappointing that once you get 1 million coins, all you get is like a different title screen, but for me, having that little coin counter there, it was enough to actually make me seek out the coins. I've never done that in a Mario game before. And again, between that and like some of the little level gimmicks, and it's just, there was something about this game where it felt so concise, so to the point, and so meticulously handcrafted. It was such a fun and fulfilling experience. And again, it did just enough with the material from the previous games. Like, it brought back basically everything between the music, the level designs, the art direction, the assets. Most of the stuff here was the same, but they put in just enough new stuff and flipped around some of the older stuff just enough to make it feel like a fresh experience. In my opinion, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is definitely an S-tier game. If you haven't played it before, or if you've just been, riding on the bandwagon online of hating on the New Super Mario Bros. Games just because that's what those losers like to do for some reason, just stop. Give New Super Mario Bros. 2 a chance, and furthermore, take it easy on the other New Super Mario Bros. Games. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up with them, but like, seriously, man, I love these games so much. They are so much fun. Next up, we got Yoshi's Island, another one that is gonna go in the S tier. This one is an absolute classic. I know some people might maybe put it in A, I don't know, just because of the whole baby Mario thing. But for me personally, I just, there's something that I loved about Yoshi's Island, right? Because it's called Super Mario World 2, but is it really? It's not really Super Mario World 2 when you play it. Like, if you haven't played the game before, you might not understand what I'm playing, but when you play it, you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of different mechanics and stuff at play here. Like, sure, it's still a 2D platformer, but it's an entirely different game, and that's not a bad thing. It is an absolutely phenomenal game. The art direction and the graphics still look amazing, and for a SNES game, it looks so good. The game is fun. It's not overbearingly difficult. It's not super easy either. It's a nice, fun, relaxing time, and if you haven't played it before, again, it's another one that I highly recommend. While we're talking about that one, they have the Super Mario Advance version here. This one's also going to go straight into the S tier. It's the same game, but a bit shinier on the GBA, remade some new features. It's still a great game there. Next up, we got New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I believe that this is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. This one is gonna go into an A. It's still a great game, and the rest of the New Super Mario Bros. Games, spoiler alert, they're all gonna be going into the S tier once we get to them. But for New Super Mario Bros. Wii, this is the only one going into the A, and it's for one simple reason. The level design is great. The graphics, like literally everything that you could praise about a video game is great here. Aside from something in the level design, this game, even in the marketing, it was clear that it was being directed towards, like, more of a family audience. Like, the multiplayer aspect of it, where the family's going to be huddling around with a bunch of controllers and playing. The levels were clearly designed around that, because a lot of the level, in fact, almost all of the levels are really spread out. There's a lot of space in between obstacles, and it kind of leads to some of the levels feeling just a little bit dragged out just because they're so wide, they're so open, the camera is so pulled back. And it doesn't necessarily detract from the experience in solo, but you can definitely feel it. Something feels a bit emptier compared to the other Mario games when you're playing it. It's hard to explain, but when you're watching the gameplay and when you play it for yourself, it will make sense. So it's not necessarily a bad game, not even close. It's an absolutely phenomenal game, and if it wasn't for that, it would be going into the S tier, because otherwise, between the bosses and again the level design, and that final boss, don't even get me started. I won't spoil it just in case you guys haven't played it, but one of the best final bosses in Mario, period. Next up, we got Super Mario Land 2 Sick Golden Coins. I think this one deserves to go in the A. It's a good game. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a Mario experience. You know what I mean? It's not doing anything absolutely revolutionary, but it's not doing anything bad either. It meets the status quo. It's a good Mario game if you haven't played it. Again, it's another one I can highly recommend playing through. Next up, we got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and by proxy, New Super Mario Bros. U as well. So we're going to go ahead and rank New Super Mario Bros. U, and I'm going to slap this in an S. And basically, I know I was just talking about how there was people complaining about how New Super Mario Bros. Games all kind of feel the same, and I was just saying, like, hey, stop doing that. But I do have to be honest, when it comes to critiquing these games and talking about why I love them, all of the reasons that I love these games kind of apply to all of them. Like, all of them, they're just through and through. They're good Mario games. They're excellent Mario games. And yeah, for New Super Mario Bros. U, I can say the same thing. It was the first time that we saw Mario in HD, and then furthermore, we saw him in even more HD pixels in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Not to mention the fact that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe also comes with New Super Luigi U. That's another Mario game that not as many people have played, and I gotta say, it is a great time. It's essentially just the levels from New Super Mario Bros. U, but kind of remixed. The timer's a bit shorter. It's a bit more quote-unquote challenging. That's kind of debatable replayable. It is technically a little bit more challenging, but since Luigi has a bit of a floatier jump, it kind of equals out. It's basically like New Super Mario Bros. U hocked up on sugar. Like, you're going through this game at a breakneck pace compared to any other Mario game. Like, you have to go so fast through this just because of how short that timer is. It's a great game. New Super Mario Bros. U is actually one of my favorites as well, just because of the world map. I know some people were kind of complaining about the world map because it didn't fit together as well as some of the previous world maps in Mario games, but I thought it was still great for what it was. At least they tried. You know what I mean? Like, they tried at least, and it was still designed well, and the levels themselves, I mean, again, the critiques that went for any of the other New Super Mario Bros. Games, they apply here. Like, they're all excellent games. They're all designed very well. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and rank New Super Mario Bros. DS. I'm going to slap that straight into the S tier, of course. This was one of the first Mario games that I ever played, and I 100%ed this game multiple times. I love this game. I have so much nostalgia for it. If you want to know some more of my, mushy-gushy nostalgic feelings about it, if you want to hear me gush about this game a bit more, I did make a video just like a week ago or so, revisiting this game and playing it on the DS. We had a lot of fun there, so you can go check that video out. I'll try to remember to put a card up here. If not, you can just scroll back a little bit on the channel. This game was so revolutionary at the time. It was like New Super Mario Bros. Like, we hadn't seen Mario Bros in decades, and it was just, I remember it was such a grand feeling seeing it come back to a handheld, no less. Like, not even on a home console, just like on a handheld, having Mario on the go. The game looked great. It still looks great. It runs great. It feels great. And compared to the other New Super Mario Bros. Games, this one is definitely the most distinct in my opinion. I don't know if it's something about, maybe it's the music, maybe it's the graphics. I'm not really sure, but it definitely feels different compared to the other New Super Mario Bros. Games. And come on, the Mega Mushroom, one of my favorite power-ups in Mario of all time. Next up, we have another Super Mario Advance. I don't know which one this is. We already ranked New Super Mario Bros. 2, Yoshi's Island, and new Super Mario Bros. 3, so I believe that this would be Super Mario Advance, the Super Mario World one, in which case that's going to go in S tier, which we should just go ahead and rank Super Mario World then. Both of these go into the S tier. Wow, Super Mario World. Where do I even start with this one? Between the Cape power-up, the overworld map, one of the best world maps in any 2D platformer that I've ever seen. The bosses are fantastic. The levels are perfectly crafted. The level variety, I mean, even in like the first couple worlds alone, you have like the grassy levels, and then you have the spooky Boo House, and the castles, and it's just, oh my gosh, Super Mario World. This deserves an entire video on its own for me. Super Mario World, man, this game is an entirely different beast. There are so many young kids nowadays that have not experienced so many of these classic Mario games, and if you were to go back to play any of the Mario games, some people might pick Super Mario Bros. 3, but for me, I would tell you, you need to experience Super Mario World at least once. And the Super Mario Advance, this is one of those games where it's like, no matter how you play it, like whether it's the original or the remake, it doesn't really matter. The only wrong way to play this game is by not playing it at all. That being said, you can play as Luigi in the advanced version, so that is worth considering if you like playing as Luigi, but gosh, this game, it's timeless. It is just, I love this game so much. I have so much nostalgia for it. It's just, it hits different for me. It is such a good game. Please, if you never played it, go play it. I'm not sure why Super Mario Bros. 3 was here twice. We'll go ahead and rank it anyway. Obviously, it goes into the S tier. Super Mario Maker. I'm going to put the first one in an A tier and the second one in S tier. The second game basically just took everything that made the first game good and improved upon it. It also gave us like a story mode, which was actually a lot of fun. It was a little short, but it was a lot of fun. It was basically just like your typical 2D Mario romp, and then just the amount of levels and assets and things that they gave you access to in Super Mario Maker 2 is mind-boggling. Out of any like level creator type game out there, I would say that Super Mario Maker is one of, if not the best out there. Maybe coming in slightly below a game like Dreams, but Dreams is like a different beast entirely, okay? You can develop like whole movies, games, and things inside of it. Like, that's just a different thing. With like animation and all that too. But Super Mario Maker 2, when it comes to like level creator type games, yeah, this is like this is one of the best out there. And the best part is all the online levels, like sometimes in games like this, you kind of run into that thing where like a bunch of levels online are troll levels, but no, surprisingly, most of the levels that you find online on this game are actually just really solid levels that the community has made. And same thing with the first game. The first game was a little interesting because we had the Wii U release, which was solid enough. It was a good level creator, but that was the thing. It was just good. Whereas Super Mario Maker 2 went above and beyond and was fantastic. But then it also came out on the 3DS, but when it was released on 3DS, there wasn't the online function. You could only create your own levels, which is fine, but the 3DS had online capabilities, so why couldn't we download other players' levels online? I don't know, that part always confused me. Last but not least, we have Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. I really don't even want to rank this one because this isn't really even a Mario game. Like, sure, it's Mario, it's in the Mario universe, but you don't play as Mario, you play as Wario. It's really different from all. I'm not gonna rank it because it's not. I mean, I don't know. It's called Super Mario Land 3. I guess I'll rank it. I'll go ahead and put it in an A. I don't think I can put it with the rest just because, I mean, you don't even play as Mario in the game, but it does deserve an A. Like, it's a really good 2D platformer, and it has a lot of different aspects in the game and different, like, mechanics in the game compared to the other Mario games. I wouldn't necessarily call it, like, a Metroidvania or anything, but there is definitely a bit more of that, like, exploration factor here. Rather than Mario where you're just, like, running and jumping constantly, you do a bit more of exploring in Wario Land 3. It's a really good game. It's definitely one, again, that I highly recommend if you haven't played any of the Super Mario Land games. I'd recommend playing all 3 of them, because none of them are overly long by any means, but yeah, it's a good game, but I don't really consider it a Mario game, you know what I mean? Or at least not like a typical 2D Mario game. It's in the Mario universe, no doubt, but you know, you're not even playing as Mario. That being said, here is my 2D Mario tier list. I'd definitely love to hear from you guys, and please, in the comments, let's not get too hostile. This is just my opinion after all. I have my opinion, you have yours. It's okay to disagree, it's okay to agree, just, you know, we can coexist. But anyway, as always, a massive shout out and thank you to all the patrons and channel members. Thank you to all of you in the low ballers here, and an even bigger shout out and thank you to all of you in the big baller tier, Mellow Asking, and Big Daddy Matty, and the biggest shout out and thank you to all of you in the G tier, Ron Vengeance, Elmo Cheese Girl. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literal legends. I love you. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.